This is part 3 of the Meatheads podcast, 9/11 style. We're getting dirty with Big Sexy, part 3.
Yeah.
It's
if
going
you haven't
down.
already listened, you should probably go check out parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, so
Because otherwise you're coming into this real dry.
I think
and
we've
it's not
covered
gonna
the
feel
meat
good.
of 9/11,
The meat
know,
and the potatoes.
the meat and the taters, and all the the vegetables. Actually, no. This episode, I think, is going to be the vegetables.
This
and,
might be dessert.
The sauce.
Yeah,
yeah,
it
like
might be
it's
the
dessert.
dessert.
yeah.
I think the first one was meat. Second part was
Potatoes?
vegetables.
Vegetables.
The slightly less enthusiastic vegetables, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, honestly. All right,
Put
so
broccoli and cauliflower in there.
all right, let's get going with this shit.
Yeah.
So basically, we've concluded that it's fucking crazy. It's really complicated.
Yeah,
we have no
fun.
idea.
It's
And I don't think anyone does have an idea, I think you're fucking ignorant, or you're fucking,
You're full of yourself if you think
Yeah.
that you really truly know what's
Right.
going on.
I mean, it's squirrely though. That's for true.
oh, it's a fucking bung of a time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to start with something? I got some I can go with.
Already.
All right. So, let's talk about intelligence failures.
Yeah.
This is something that
Yeah.
actually disturbs me the most.
Yeah, I think regardless of if it was planned or not, like I think for you to argue that it was, like most of the people, like they couldn't have been in on it, right? Even if you're working at like a military base, but like just the systematic failure of defense and like the order of operations they ran on that was a fucking joke.
Yeah. Like, okay, so I'm coming at it from the viewpoint. I'm not particularly keen on the conspiracy stuff, but I look at the intelligence failures, which are fact, and I'm looking at it like holy fuck, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
what, we're using a fucking walkie-talkie to get the word out to your pilots? Like, holy fuck, man.
Well, yeah, and more specifically, like I'm talking about intelligence failures, right? Not necessarily defense failures, but it's
Right.
linked, of
Yeah.
course. But anyways, so American intelligence agencies, they actually had been keeping tabs on the leader of the strike, Mohammed Atta, for several years apparently before he took part in the 9/11 operation itself, and yet they did nothing to prevent him carrying out the attacks. And similar thing can be said about terrorists these days. We all know who they are.
Right.
Well, not all of us, but
There's
the people
some
who
of them.
know are the people who know who they are.
Bracket them. Bracket. The enemy.
No, I'm not going with that. I'm saying that the intelligence agencies know who particular extremists are.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
they're
it's
pretty
some
easy
of them.
to
Some of
find.
them, they very preventable.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
So it's clear that American intelligence agencies knew the attack was imminent, even if they didn't necessarily know the exact details. But they didn't really do anything to stop it. So it's like, it seems that the FBI, instead of owning up to its blunders, actually tried to cover these up, which I think that's
That seems
morally
very
bankrupt.
Seems very probable though. Like, fuck, the FBI didn't know shit. We dropped the soap, boys. Took it up the bung. You don't want to fucking do that. Like, fuck, they're gonna be like, oh no, it wasn't us. It was like that
Right.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one example I have is the Daily Mail talks about unspecified Western intelligence agency which listened in on a phone call between Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was the guy who orchestrated. Well, he's the architect of 9/11, basically.
So what was that guy's name?
Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
It wasn't Bob Allen. That's a shocker.
And the other guy was Ramzi bin Ashib. He was one of the subordinate planners. It provided enough information to alert the Americans to a full 7 weeks before the attack itself. Like, they knew about it 7 weeks beforehand,
Right.
and yet this wasn't communicated adequately. And apparently the CIA also knew of an Al-Qaeda plot to fly a bomb-laden plane into the World Trade Center, though this is just a bomb-laden plane. I don't think that this would have been pulled off successfully, so they probably just changed the plans. Yeah.
Go to hijack it.
Were any of those people from Sweden by chance?
No idea.
Yeah, this is actually interesting.
No, I'll let you know, Malcolm. They weren't.
There's Irish terrorists. I mean,
Yeah, the IRA.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
also odd that more
Even-
than once before 9/11, information was provided by the CIA to the president on the location of Osama bin Laden. Each time the president authorized the attack, the CIA director nullified the order by stating that the intelligence was not reliable enough for the strike to go ahead. Now I'm thinking about this.
Malcolm, could you do me a favor? Who was the CIA operator at
I
that time period?
Don't remember.
Okay.
Wasn't it fucking?
Is there a way we
It
can-
was probably in the Clinton era.
Yeah, it would have been a
I know there's
holdover
only-
from Clinton to Bush.
There's actually only been, I think, 6 or 7 CIA directors ever. Like they stay
Yep.
for a long time.
Yep. So you know what I find interesting about that is that drone strikes today, they don't exactly go on significant intelligence. You know, if they have a good guess, they just fucking bomb the place
Right.
and to hell with any
Yeah.
casualties, right?
Yeah.
You looking up the CIA director at the time? All right. So another thing.
It was George Tenet.
Okay. Never heard of him. George Tenet. Never
I'll
heard of
give
him
you
before.
some fast facts. Unfortunately, right now my source is CNN, so yeah,
Take that with a grain of salt.
yeah, this might be a Don Lemon, but you know, let's see here. Works at Solar.
We'll fucking get there.
All right. When you
I
get,
don't know. Fuck this guy, but yeah, that was him. I don't know it was him at all.
So George Tenet. Either way,
okay.
It doesn't
heard of him
really
before,
matter.
actually.
it could have been.
So
Damn.
apparently also.
Sorry.
Oh, you actually have something now.
Yeah. Deputy CIA director could face court deposition over post 9/11 role in torture.
Jesus
I don't know.
Christ.
No
That's
evidence.
nothing new.
Yeah, I don't,
CIA torture. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that's his name. Fuck.
Yeah.
George Tenet. Okay. So, anyways, apparently also the
For
foreign
John.
minister of the Taliban itself, the foreign minister of the Taliban, provided further warnings to the Americans of an impending attack by bin Laden and his associates. Further communications corroborating this intelligence came from the KGB, Jordanian intelligence, and even the Mossad, which is the intelligence of Israel.
So basically,
Yeah, like
It
they were
seems-
getting tons. And there's 2 more things, too. Actually, well, just one more major thing. So the Senate Intelligence Committee found out the FBI had an informant who knew 2 of the future hijackers while living in San Diego. These same hijackers had been tracked by the CIA for months before being lost in Kuala Lumpur. And somehow they ended up in San Diego. That the FBI was neither aware... okay, so... that the FBI was either not aware of its own informant or that it never acted upon this informant, and that the FBI never subsequently brought said information to testify, said informant to testify before the Congress after the attack is really fucking concerning. So basically, what I'm saying is that either they were so fucking inept that they didn't realize they had an informant with these terrorists, or they knew about it, let it slide, and then never owned up to it. Like,
There's also an interesting point. It's another movie I'd say to watch. I don't have the name of it, but it profiles how a bunch of these guys went to the same like flight school, I think. And like they
Yeah,
like,
I've read that somewhere,
met
yeah.
there before they went and like did that. They used to like kind of like live together, I think. And this
Right.
one guy was like trained them all, and so like that's another interesting thing. Like people should go watch at least look at the documentary.
yeah, so a lot of the hijackers, they went to American flight training schools,
right,
right? And like, there was no red flags raised.
right.
A couple people at the flight schools themselves raised flags, but nobody acted on it.
I think there's flight records of them like going to and from the U.S. like a fair amount. And no one was like, oh, whatever, right? Then they're taking like
Maybe. So the last thing I say about the intelligence failures is that instead of necessarily laying the blame purely on the intelligence agencies, it may be more just to divert some responsibility to the Bush administration, because they knew of several CIA memoranda stating the possibility of an Al-Qaeda attack, but simply paid little attention to them.
Bush administration was like a steaming turd bucket.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they certainly fucked
Overall,
up a
like
lot.
they fudged up.
Right, how could you fuck that up if people are telling you?
Oh, like no, like Bush's whole like that was like shit. very poor leadership.
And then one of my things is, say it was, you know, these Saudis and Afghanis and whatnot. What was their motive? Was it just to commit suicide and fuck you to the U.S.? I mean,
Probably, I don't know.
like it was just like a standard suicide attack. It was, you know, because the other way, it seems like that seems more likely than that some guy would rather blow themselves up and kill other people than this elaborate conspiracy to get some money.
And
I
there's
mean,
a whole
trillions of
conversation to be
dollars, I
had.
mean, is one thing, but
Yeah, there's a whole conversation to be had about the motivations behind terrorism. I don't
Right.
think we can even remotely.
no,
cover that
like we
here.
don't really need to. I mean,
Dumbassery.
right. I mean, I just think like if there was a different motive, if there's
Yeah.
anything on that,
Well, I don't.
probably not, because we know, you know, the ideology of Osama
But
bin Laden.
if you were an extremist, and it was like, all right, dude, we'll put everything before you that you can go orchestrate this, and it'll work. Why would you say no? It'd be like a free fucking lunch.
Right.
So like, I don't think you could put it past them being like, oh fuck, I'll do that. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they do it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, fuck.
Because they believe that they're getting, you know, they're going to be rewarded for what they're doing.
Yeah,
They're going to get 72 virgins or
yeah,
whatever.
sloppy.
Yeah. And they also
Orgy,
get 72
yeah.
mothers-in-law. You know, there's
have
the
fun at
crazy, yeah.
Christmas. Oh wait, you don't have to worry about that.
It turns out it's actually just grapes, because apparently one of the translations, it might
Virgin
actually mean
grapes.
grapes. Like you get 72 grapes.
I'm taking off this hat.
It doesn't say
fucking
what
feels
kind of
like
versions.
shit.
No more tinfoil half reason. All right.
It's off. I did it for like probably over 2 hours now. It
Yeah.
feels like shit. You can get it off me.
Now you're going to get brainwashed again.
I love Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders has a sound economic policy.
The broadcast.
All right. Inside job.
Inside Jeb Bush.
Oh God. No thanks. So one interesting point about it is that the Project for a New American Century. These guys wrote a piece for the Bush administration, well, actually the Bush election team, before the 2000 election, advocating a plan to maintain American hegemony. Essential to this plan was the control of the Persian Gulf and drastic military reforms, reforms which said, so the plans... All right.
Come on, you can do it. Get it out.
Reforms which the plan says might take decades, as absent some sort of catalyzing event, like a new Pearl Harbor. That's been brought up a lot. While the report does not advocate such an event, it does outline the effects of one, right? So, and I've thought about that a bit too, right?
That's a pretty common one, right? Like, you make this thing happen, you get drastic change.
Yeah.
Like every time there's a shooting, you know, they try to change the gun laws or whatever. But on a massive scale.
Yeah, this was a easy way to do that.
Right.
You can even get like some of the like, on the right, like the pro-liberty people, like, yeah, we need to stand against this, but what they signed up for is fucking rubbish. It's just like wide sweeping surveillance.
Yeah. So another ostensibly odd point about the possibility of it being an inside job is that Osama bin Laden was never actually indicted for his role in 9/11 because of apparent lack of evidence tying him directly to the plot.
He was never wanted by the FBI in relation to that. They didn't. No.
So apparently, the only reason he was in the FBI's most wanted list was because there was enough evidence to tie him to the 1998 embassy bombings, which happened in Kenya and Tanzania. Okay, so we're left to basically question the logic of conspiracy theorists in this regard by wondering if a government would have no qualms about orchestrating a fake terrorist attack on its own people. Why would they stop at falsely incriminating Osama bin Laden, who's just a fucking terrorist?
So it doesn't get blamed on them. It's an easy scapegoat they can pin it on.
But they didn't blame him on it. Like they didn't actually full on indict him.
No,
so they go
but-
and blow up their own people, but then they don't pin formal charges on the guy who
It's kinda like a
ostensibly did it.
boogeyman.
Well, yeah, it gives them we got him for this. There's no there was never a court date. Just take him out. That's what it was. It's just like less baggage.
What do you mean less baggage? I don't think you understand me. It's like it would be super easy.
You're saying they
for a
should have
government
blamed
to-
it on him.
Yeah, well, not just blame it on him. Like they already do blame it on him.
But that was a
Like
whole weapons of
formal
mass
FBI
destruction. was
charges.
done.
Right.
Formal FBI charges. That's what they didn't do.
Because they can't
They
prove
pinned
per
it on
se.
him for the 1998 embassy bombings in Africa, but they didn't pin an FBI wanted list moniker on him for bombing, orchestrating 9/11.
Maybe there was not enough evidence that he actually did.
Right. Because
Well,
they,
They
that's
knew it would get
exactly
thrown
what the
out. So why would
explanation
you
is.
do that? You just fucking go give it.
Yeah, so that's the point. So if a government is willing to create a conspiracy
Yeah.
to kill 3,000 people, but is not willing to create fake evidence to pin the whole thing formally on Osama bin Laden.
Well, they
Well, they
probably
didn't
tried,
really
but the
need
whole
to.
thing was so messy.
probably-
assuming, but
tried.
assuming they did, they wouldn't really need to, right? You've already, it's already.
Well, they don't
the
even
public
necessarily have to.
opinion was
Like
that
that's
just
this
means they have
the-
less rules. They don't even have them objective.
But
they
then
can just
it
change
goes
as
it goes
they go.
further. It gives them.
This is the
dude,
breaking
think
logic,
about this.
guys.
No, think about this. Think about this. If you kill Osama bin Laden, then your mission is done. But if you don't define your mission, you can keep going.
Well, they didn't
Right?
have to go
see
out
what-
and kill him. They
No,
just
no,
had to
but if-
indict him formally.
Right, right.
It
but,
still took
but
them
then-
10 years anyways.
But even if they did that and then they got rid of Osama bin Laden, then the bad guy's gone. But
That also
with-
shows you the state of Washington
with this
D.C. Like,
well,
fuck.
yeah, yeah.
All
But
right,
I mean,
hold on.
this way.
So they're all fucked, but they were still able to create this massive conspiracy. And
well, there's
blow up.
one of the jokes
World
about
Trade
it
Center.
is
Also, do you think the president is, and like everyone there is like pretty much up until Trump, because he's trying to like actively resist this. They're basically all like puppets of like people even higher than that, like the big corporations and like the fucking like
interesting.
the George Soros kind of. This all ties into like New World Order shit
right.
for me in the long run, I think. But it's like, yeah, they'll do that. They're doing what they're being told to do. I think the president, like Justin Trudeau, like fuck, that guy's an idiot. But,
Yeah.
like, everyone like he's got big money interests. They pull the shots.
Right.
It's like people above. Like,
They're still
everybody.
in the NDP in Alberta. With the NDP in Alberta, they're still pushing pipelines through. It's ironic. It's it's the way it
That's
goes.
interesting.
Right.
Yeah. So, I'll just let the
I want my
listener
vote
decide
back.
on
No,
that
I'm just
one.
kidding.
I'll let the listener decide on that. Yeah. Okay, so some things not accounted for by the theory that it was an inside job. Al Qaeda initially planned to attack a nuclear power plant or several on 9/11, but ultimately decided that things would get too easily out of control.
Wait, maybe that's not a great idea.
And this is documented in their planning in their planning documents, right? Additionally, the CIA had they had a secret office on the 25th floor of Tower 7. So, I'm just wondering, like, why would the CIA be involved in a plot to blow up its own office, right?
That's just fucking
And their own people.
The way
were
she
in there.
goes.
Well, for them, everyone's expendable.
yeah. For
That's
the
nothing.
for
For
those
the-
trillions
if-
of dollars, you'd be like,
If the
fuck
higher
it.
up has like a fucking like game plan, that's like small pebbles to these
Right.
whole.
That's
kinda,
like Sith
how
Lord
the-
shit
yeah,
right there.
How the government set up, like it's just like fuck. Who cares about that? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, be like, you're telling me who works there? I don't give a fuck.
yeah, if you think they care about like CIA agent Bob Jim that does like fucking,
It's
honest
probably
day's work,
paperwork.
oh fuck.
Yeah. Apparently, the CIA, the buildings are actually very boring. Because, everyone thinks they're doing really exciting things, but it's like, nah, there's some computers and lots of paperwork and
Yep.
fucking bullshit.
Paperwork. That's pretty much what it
Yeah.
is. That's all I have for Inside Job. Do you have any more?
Oh,
See, I was just mostly trying to question the whole theory of it being an inside job.
yeah, like a whole bunch of like missing. Like this is just my last fillers that I don't have papers on, but like because I couldn't print out like 5
Yeah.
fucktillion things. But like, if you just look at like the missing evidence, it adds up.
Yeah.
Like This site's.
What is some of this missing evidence?
It's just like the fuck. Here's a big list for you.
Do you think that all the missing evidence is just like human incompetence and it looks
50-50.
it looks bad? Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
totally. You can't
Missing
really
evidence,
tell.
Pentagon attack footage, suppression of video footage of the Pentagon attack.
But no, read the sidebar on it. It's taken like a computer. See what I mean?
Oh, destroyed evidence of aircraft, structural steel, missing evidence of bodies, building contents, gold, asbestos.
And like obviously this has a certain bias one way, but you should take this and like look at those facts and then take another fact and try to
Right.
Yeah. Missing evidence of Pentagon footage, destroyed evidence in flights and airport videos, phone calls, call details, cell phone calls, black boxes, missing flight data, voice data, air controllers and bodies.
This is an
This is
interesting read.
So this is okay. This is all on 911research.com.
Yeah. So
Also, not to mention the people that spoke up afterwards and apparently got killed, which is like a form of missing evidence. You know,
yeah.
the actual person.
Yeah, so like I'd take this and then go to like maybe the government sanctioned or like a third party one saying that it did happen like this, and you can kind of like see what makes sense to you. Like, but like, I don't know, it's just good like to go through all that. I tried to go through it for like a couple. I had a pretty crazy night last night.
Yeah.
And Ahmed came over and we got fucking.
Yeah. Just got.
I've been
fucked up.
laying off the piss a little bit more, like
Yeah.
no more hard bar, but that guy brought over
Nice.
some like fucking hard bar, so we got on the fucking
Yeah.
piss.
Sometimes you got it. You know?
Yeah, sometimes you just get on the piss. So.
Fuck
So you
yeah.
got on the piss and did 9/11 research. That's actually impressive.
Sometimes you gotta go deep.
Yeah, sometimes you
Yeah.
gotta go deep. Also, a lot of legal herbal supplements. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
lots of that too.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to add on? Because
Now, do you want to have a casual 5-minute chat, or do you want
I've
to?
got something on warmongering actually.
Oh, yeah,
Just the argument that they used it as an excuse to go into the Middle
Thanks,
East, right?
neocons and libs.
All right, so I have one point that challenges warmongering, and another point which is, kind of is pro warmongering. So the first one is there's this group called 9/11 Truth News. It suggests that the fact that U.S. Central Command, which is the command offices, which is responsible for what is roughly the Middle East, had a contingency plan to invade Afghanistan from the north, and they think this is suspicious. I disagree. CENTCOM which is Central Command, had contingency plans to deal with Iraqi militancy before Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and likely to this day has contingency plans to react to threats and developments throughout the theater of this command. Same with the rest of the command offices of the American forces. Quite simply, it's their job as military brass to plan for as many eventualities as possible so that when they are confronted with arms confrontation and other problems, it is not entirely unexpected, and they have something to work with on short notice, right? So basically, these people are concerned that
shit's gonna go down.
there is already a plan to invade Afghanistan, already a plan to invade Iraq.
Right.
When I don't think that's anything to worry about at all.
Right.
It's the job of the military to have plans
Yeah.
for everything. Like, there's already plans to invade Canada for its water
Right.
supplies if
Right.
there's an attack
Yeah.
on North America, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean it's any sort of conspiracy. It just
Right.
means it's a plan. They have to deal with this sort of thing. That's the job of the military.
Yeah, like what
right?
if a fucking missile comes flying in? You gotta be fucking prepared.
Yeah.
What if a plane crashes into some buildings? You gotta be prepared.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're not, And it probably is fucking aliens.
Probably.
Dude, what if we haven't said a thing about aliens? So is there any aliens involved in 9/11?
Oh, boy.
I think the oddest, most out there was like it was like, oh, you can see the devil's face in the smoke.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember that? And, like,
Yeah,
some of it
yeah.
was very eerie, but it's like, oh,
I saw a
God
meme.
was like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, like evangelical.
Judgment.
I saw
Yeah.
a meme taken out of that. It was some crazy black comedian, and he was just photoshopped his face right into the smoke.
Oh, yeah.
I was
The
like, wow,
wrestling
that's-
ones? Have you seen the wrestling
Hulk
ones?
Hogan giving a leg drop to the
Yeah.
tower. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, the wrestling
Yeah.
ones are bad.
Well, start out the podcast like, and we'd like to first state this is a horrible incident.
Actually,
We're
at the
making,
end, we're going to
memes
read
at the
off
end.
all the names of the victims.
Yeah, every single one.
Just kidding, but
No.
honestly, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
How many? There was like 3,000 something, right?
Yeah, 2,996, and
Right.
that includes the 19 hijackers.
Right.
But they have no souls, so let's take them out.
Yeah.
2,977.
They're burning in hell if
Not
there
bad.
is one. You know.
Yeah.
All right, so the next thing about warmongering is, I think it's actually a possibility in that. Just think about this, guys. What if the Bush administration was simply too inept to take the many warnings seriously and, to a certain degree, just let the attacks happen?
Possible, but not definite.
Yeah, so not quite as a false flag after all the attackers and their motives are clear enough. But afterwards, they decided to turn the tragedy around and exploit it as an opportunity, which could be made into a casus belli for the war on terror. Now, keep in mind that, this is the early days of the war on drugs ending. So the war on terror has basically supplanted it, right? And it's supplanted it, as a central existential threat, which the American government uses to basically tie in people, right? Like, think Nixon saying drugs are a plague on our society, and Reagan saying the same thing, right? And now it's, George Bush saying terror must be stopped.
The war on terrorism.
Yeah, terror. And Obama saying similar things, and especially Donald Trump saying that sort of thing.
Oh, fuck.
And so-
Thank God it's not Hillary,
Honestly,
buddy.
the opportunism argument kind of
Sell
makes
the
sense.
Russians some more uranium.
Hey,
you know.
it's
Wait,
just-
this is
and this is
important.
actually-
Have you guys seen the video of George Bush when he hears about it, 9/11, when he's reading the children?
Well, that was another weird thing. Like, his recount of hearing it was like mixed, because he was like reading a book, and then he's like, "Well, I saw it on TV when it happened." It was like, why was there TV watching news while you
Maybe
were
he
reading?
means,
well, the
like-
TV
Yeah, why
was
are there
already on.
TVs in
Maybe
kids'
he means,
classrooms?
though, like, after that happened, he went and watched it all go down on
No,
TV.
but he said like a contradicting. That was like
Right.
his second statement, I believe,
Right.
or something like
Strange.
that. And then just fucking.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's
And
a
then
weird...
why did he stay? Him and Dick Cheney's contingency plan after that was like he like stayed there, and then like he was like just like. Dick and him went to be in the same like area, and then like he was like flying like in a jet, and like he didn't land. Well, the thing was like he was up there, and like I don't know. Like, that's
Well,
nothing.
that might be like some shit presidents do when shit hits the fan. It's like you're going up in the plane and you're gonna like, we're gonna keep jets all around you, make sure you're safe, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because shit's going down.
And so
That's
about
fucking
the war on
crazy.
terror now. So it's so both the war on drugs and the war on terror, they were both used as justifications for American security policy and the military expenditures, right? As well as modern imperialism and foreign policies and all that jazz go along with it. So this idea of mine is actually supported by Bush saying, and I quote, "We have to think of this as an opportunity," during his State of the Union speech on 29th January of 2002. Basically, the only problem with this idea, though, is that the particular memos offered to the Bush administration gave little detail about the possibility of an impending attack, and I think I mentioned that earlier. So, maybe it wasn't entirely intentional, but either way, I think they definitely took advantage of it afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the end, if you ask, with foresight, who wins from it or who gains from it, it's
the intelligence agencies.
yeah.
do.
I mean, people in the government, and then some people got very rich with oil.
Yeah. Invasion of Iraq.
Right.
Yep. And then you can look at like the
Oil.
whole like Bush heritage and go into all that dirt and say, well, that's another angle you can throw at it.
Yep. All right. Well, I suppose we can sort of gear towards wrapping this up now, and I've just
Fuck yeah.
one thing that I want to talk about at the end is, while this was obviously a tragedy, there are a couple of good things that came out of it, right?
Oh yeah, you want to do this janky end part?
Hippie bullshit.
I know. I think it's totally
Okay,
fucking legit,
well,
man.
Okay,
There
all
are
right.
legit heroes that came out of it, and it sure is a little bit cheesy, but there are some things which are obvious, like the firefighters and the first responders, all that. Everybody knows about that. But there are two things which I learned today researching this, which I didn't know about, and I thought it'd be kind of neat to share. One in particular is that the financial firm called Cantor Fitzgerald, 2/3 of their employees were working in the company headquarters in the North Tower above the plane impact zone, and none of them made it out alive, right? This
Did
is
you look at
2/3
if
of
the
entire
company had an insurance policy on their employees like you can do in the States?
Interesting.
I don't know that they didn't, but I just say, like, you know, fuck, always look a bit deeper than, you
Interesting.
know.
Yeah. You gotta ask
CEO
questions.
who
You gotta ask
also lost his
questions.
brother there.
You gotta think about it.
He's quoted as saying afterwards, "We should cut.
Insurance policy times 2.
We should shut the firm or rather, he's quoted as saying, "We could shut the firm and attend our friends' funerals, or we're going to work harder than we've ever worked before to help their families." Instead, well, actually, indeed, they worked over the next 5 years to compensate and assist the families of the 650 employees killed that day, and it actually cost them a lot of money. Like, I looked up the numbers, and it's about $180 million,
Jesus, Murphy.
which they paid this out. And
But the original
different
payment's
ways.
already been sent into overseas bank account, and so the rest here is all tax write-off.
Honestly, Obama probably
Yeah,
knows
quite
a thing or two
the
about that.
I am.
Dude.
Another impressive feat, particularly impressive feat, was the boat lift evacuating people out of Manhattan. So they basically evacuated 500,000 people from the southern beaches of Manhattan, taken off by private and public boats alike in the span of 9 hours. Now compare it to Dunkirk. The evacuation of Dunkirk, possibly the greatest evacuation by sea that I can think of before this, transported approximately only 330,000 troops in the span of 9 days.
Holy fuck.
So
it was like
9/11
it was like 10 times Dunkirk.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fucking impressive.
Fucking badass.
And so there's also
That would have been, if you were there in New York, like watching all that go down, that would be like
Fucked.
That would be fucked. That would be, it's one of those things you cannot forget. Like when you watch the footage of it, it's like fucking haunting.
yeah.
It's crazy.
My dad was telling me about in 2000, I think he said he was going over to Portugal for some contract work, working on a ship there, and he was in New York on a layover, and he went right up to World Trade Center. Like he was up there almost exactly a year before it came down,
Right.
and he was telling me about it. He said it's really fucking eerie.
Yeah.
I don't blame him though.
Knowing that place is not there and like all
Yeah.
those people died.
Yeah.
Like you're up there like what a big ass building.
So, I
And-
don't know, Justin, do you have anything?
I think one of
good
the
that came
things
out of it?
I think one of the things that I think that's fucking crazy is the Simpsons predicting it. Like what's that all
The
about?
Simpsons had predicted a lot of stuff.
I
that's
know.
squiggly.
We should do a fucking whole episode on the fucking Simpsons doing that shit because honestly, like some of it, like Donald Trump becoming president,
Yeah, that
the
was
picture, like the picture of
Yeah.
him. It's like it's
that exact
on the
content
elevator,
picture, yeah.
and it's like this is fucking
and Saudi with his hand on
yeah,
the orb.
yeah,
of-
with the fucking light
whatever the
orb, like
fuck
it's the
it's
weirdest
called.
shit ever. Yeah, I mean it's getting dirty here, but like I think everyone needs a little bit of dirt,
I think we could do a Simpsons episode.
But I mean,
Of
just
their
okay,
predictions.
but it's crazy though. Why like Simpsons is like pretty much predicted 9/11, right? It says coming soon. There's 2 towers, and isn't there a fucking plane? Or am I tripping?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Or
think,
no, they're on fire or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. Didn't see
Yeah,
it.
I think it's just it's like a little poster in a Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Any final words, Ethan?
Oh fuck. Yeah. Anyway, not really, man. Fuck. We pretty much exhausted everything.
I think 9/11 has been exhausted.
Yeah.
I think.
All right.
We fucking
My
killed
final
it.
dedication is, of course,
George
You
Bush.
kind of have to say this: all the families, all the victims, and everybody who was affected, and all the fucking first responders, all the people, all the good people who did good things on that day, and all the good people who died on that day. Let's just give them a shout out.
Yeah, I'll agree with Malcolm, and also Donald Trump 2020,
Donate.
make America great again, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Honestly, my prediction, I don't know. I've been wrong before, but I think Donald Trump, I'm predicting that he's going to not want to do a second term.
I wouldn't blame him. He's got treated so
Yeah.
unfairly. Another point before we go. Today was actually Donald Trump's fake news awards. I don't know who won,
Really?
but it's a new thing he's doing. which
Oh
is-
my
That's
god.
interesting.
So I hope Don Lemon.
So he's, like,
and,
rating them?
Anderson Shitholer,
Yeah.
360 or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I guess won. So
Yeah.
Damn,
it should be
That's-
entertaining.
that's pretty
and
ballsy, actually.
Cause a lot of I'm hoping it causes a good stir.
Yeah.
Get some good news
It
out
will.
of it.
Like,
Oh fuck!
they
it
don't
will.
like that shit.
No, they keep poking the
Yeah. The
Yeah.
hornet's nest.
If Donald
shit
Trump does
hornets.
nothing good, he's kept Hillary from being president, and he's just fucking raking the media over the coals, which I think is long overdue.
Right.
So
Yeah, they should stop pretending to be as objective, I think, as they are, because some of it is just like, oh, I mean,
That's pretty fair
news,
criticism.
dirty news,
Yeah, you know.
fake news.
All right, wrap it up, Justin.
All right,
Alright, man.
motherfuckers. We'd like it'd be awesome if you guys would like and subscribe. Listen to the episodes. Fucking give them a rate and everything. Just your best out of 10. And I like to say like, subscribe, and go fuck yourself.